Whew, man, you can definitely tell that the weather is changing today. It's windy, the temperature's dropping, it's about to get cold again. So today I've just got the routine chores to do, and I thought while I did it, we'd talk about our goals and how we did on them this year, and then we'll look at everything I plan on doing, or at least what our goals are for next year. It's gonna be a big year. We'll go ahead and let the tractor warm up. So I guess starting off with our goals for 2024, our number one goal was to add more pasture, and that included clearing out this fence line on this side here, and then clearing down this fence line down here, enough room for the fence. And we got that done. We put up fence around this 12-acre field, and then we also got half of the field planted in perennial grass, and then we planted the other half in an annual forage. So overall, this project is complete. There's a few little loose ends hanging out there, like we still need to tie to a few of the posts. This gate right here needs to have a stock panel welded to it so sheep can't try to crawl out of it or dogs try to get through it. And we didn't get on the bottom barbed wire. And I've got some ditches and some low spots and stuff that need to be fixed, and I'll probably wait until after I do that to put the barbed wire along the bottom of this fence. But overall, as a functional pasture, that's our main goal. We've got it done. So I'm gonna say this one is like a 95% completion. Whew. We got a little tractor cab on a day like today. Come on, everybody. There you go, good job. Out the door, come on, out the door. All right, sheep stay in there, okay? Don't try to run out. It's just too muddy for me to get back here and fill this thing up with hay. So I'm gonna move it closer to the front gate. It's just gonna make chores easier. This barnyard's so wet that the tractor's been sliding sideways. There we go. Man. That'll work. It is windy, isn't it, Maya? It is really windy. It is. So our second goal for 2024 was to create a way to be able to work our livestock, to be able to sort them, and to be able to load them. So this goal had several small projects that all needed to be done to complete it. And the first thing was to build a corral fence around this white pole barn so that we could gather up the animals inside of here. And then we ended up building a loading chute that goes along the back side of the barn here. And the loading chute extends past the building about 8 feet, and then it slightly ramps up so that we can back up a livestock trailer right up to it. And in this loading chute, we built a small gate to be able to sort out the sheep and be able to put them back here where we fenced around these pine trees, which is a small holding area back here. And to handle the cattle, we've got our head chute in here, and then we've set up a small like catch pen back here with a swing gate that we can swing over to the side and then be able to run them down the head chute. So that gives us an ability to handle cattle, but we didn't end up with any ability to be able to handle sheep. And we can sort out the sheep from the cattle, but we really can't sort, we didn't install anything new to be able to sort out the different sheep from each other. And with the setup the way it is right now, it's not designed to maybe sort the cattle out very well between each other, but I think we could do that. I think the sheep is probably where we are lacking the most. So overall, we did get a corral built. We do have handling facility for cattle that will get us by, and we have a way to load sheep and cattle, and we have a way to separate the cattle and the sheep from each other. But we don't have a way to handle sheep, and we really don't have a great sorting system. So I'm gonna say overall, this is probably like a 70% success rate on this one, or completion rate. And our third goal, which is very tied to goal number 2, is we needed to turn this white barn into an area where we could house livestock or give livestock shelter. And with the corral fence, that made it possible. And I also wanted to put some pens in here so that I could have like birthing stalls or separate animal stalls in there. All we have is the small catch pen in that corner. So we didn't build any stalls, but yet this is a place livestock can shelter. So I'm gonna say this one is probably like 50% done, something like that. Looks like we got one customer waiting in line. And goal number 4 for this year had to do with hay, because we were currently storing all of our round bales inside of this white barn, and it was going to turn into a handling facility and a livestock barn. So I needed a new place to store hay, preferably out of the weather. So we ended up buying a bale wrapper so that we could just wrap up our hay bales and protect it from the weather. And that allowed us to store our round bales outside with minimal spoilage. And the bonus about it was it also allowed us to make silage for the first time this year. And we made several silage bales, and the cows and the sheep, they both just love them. So goal number 4, I'm gonna say, was 100% completed. Half my hay's blown away. That's how windy it is. All right, you guys ready for some hay? Slippery. Just one egg today, so far. I almost say it's perfect timing because it's just starting to rain again. And it has rained 5 out of the last 7 days. This weather's kind of got me down, but still got to get out here and work. So goal number 5 for 2024 was to build Rebecca custom bookshelves. And when I mean custom, they're going to be designed to fit in this area here in the loft. So they would be angled with the roof beams here, and you would have a shelf and a cabinet. And then on the other side, there would be another shelf and a cabinet. And then there would probably be like a window seat in between. And that has not even started. So that is a 0 completion. So overall for 2024, kind of judging by how tough some of the projects were, especially the fencing project, how big that project was, how long it took, just kind of overall, we probably got 70% of the work done. And I don't think that's too bad. You always try to set your goals a little bigger than you can actually achieve. That way you always have something to try to work toward and strive to. You don't want to make them too easy. Now that being said, I think 2024 overall was a huge success. I think we got a lot done. We did a lot more projects than what was on our goals. It just seems like we made some huge strides in the development of the property and getting things into our dream property. We're just getting closer and closer every year. It's a little big. There we go. And now that brings us to what we have planned for 2025. And considering I'm here full time now, we have made our goals list bigger and we plan on getting more done this coming year. So for 2025, we have a total of 8 goals, and then we have several wish list items on top of that. But the first goal is going to be to build Rebecca's custom bookshelves. Since we didn't get that started, I'd like to try to get that done here at the beginning of the year. So to do that, I need to turn this back into a woodworking shop. Right now it is kind of taken over with the Allis Chalmers back here. I need to try to get it put back together and out of here, and then get the shop set back up for woodworking. And then after that, I can start building Rebecca's bookshelves. So goal number 2 is to tear down and rebuild the firewood shed. So this shed used to come all the way out to where I am standing, but a tree limb fell and crushed this very end bay a few months after we bought the property. This has been this way for a long time, so there's only 3 out of 4 usable bays in this structure. And after stepping this off, it appears that this is originally about 48 feet long by about 12 feet deep. And when we rebuild this structure, it may end up being a little bit bigger than it used to be. So I really don't think I need all 4 of these bays for firewood. If I can stack it really tall, I probably only need like 2 of them, and that would store all of my firewood and the log splitter. So the other half of the shed may end up being equipment storage. So that's another reason why to make it maybe just a little bit bigger. But this is definitely a project that I'm looking forward to tackling, and I know a lot of people have been waiting years for this to happen. So goal number 3 for this year is to redo our garden area. It's really not working for us with all the chores and how much we have to do, so we want to redo this so that it more fits our lifestyle and make it where it's a little bit easier to maintain. And it's probably not going to be a fenced-in garden anymore. We're probably going to get rid of that so we can reach the garden beds from both sides. We're probably going to make the raised beds taller, and then we may install a lot more raised beds and just go total raised bed gardening, or at least for the majority of it. So that brings us to goal number 4, and we've wanted to do this in the past. I really think we'll get it done this year, and that is to build a bridge across this inlet of the pond over to that side. So here's another point of view. So the bridge would go from here across to there. And then the second part of this goal is to clear this side of the pond and get it mowed down so that we can fish down there. And we have the trailer frames from the old mobile home that we plan on using for the bridge. And that's why I think we'll be able to get this built. And I want it to be built strong enough to be able to take the lawnmower, so you can drive the lawnmower across over there and keep that mowed. So I think this will be a fun little project, and it's going to allow us to have more bank fishing on our pond when we're done with this. So I think it's going to be a really good project for the long term. So now we're up to goal number 5, and it has to do with this new front pasture that we just got fenced in. This 12 acres is going to be our main field, and we plan on having the livestock out here all summer long and rotationally grazing them. But the problem I see is there's no shelter out here for them. And what I want to do is I want to build a livestock shelter right in the middle, and then I want to rotationally graze in like a circle around the pasture with that shelter right in the middle. That's at least the plan. That was the big goal all along. So I'm not sure how big of a barn or a little livestock barn we'll build out there, but I definitely want one out there so that we can set up rotational grazing exactly the way we want it. So goal number 6 is to finish the inside of this white barn. We're planning on putting some sheep handling equipment in here so that we can work the sheep, be able to sort them, and then we'll probably put a few small livestock pens in here as well. This is a lot to try to fit in this small barn, but this is definitely something that we need. So goal number 7 is to build another fence line feeder. But instead of being over here in the little pasture of the pine trees, it's going to be on the opposite side, and it's going to be right here where I can load it from here with 2 hay bales in it. Because this is our sacrifice area for the wintertime. This is where we're going to keep them while we're feeding hay in the wintertime, so that's where the fence line feeder needs to be. And those fence line feeders make it so much easier feeding hay out in the wintertime, that is for sure. So goal number 8 is to fix the drainage problems here around the bank barn. That's probably going to be like 3 different projects. So one is going to be gutters, so that we can collect all the water off the roof and it's not pouring down here making a bunch of mud. 2 is probably going to be some type of French drain system that's going to go around the sides of the barn to take that groundwater away. Part of this barn is buried or sunk into the ground a little bit. And then the other problem is I have water from under the floor coming out into this back part, and then this back part gets filled full of water. So we need to build some type of underfloor drain or something to take that water away with the rest of the water out to the ditch in the pasture. So that's probably going to be a fairly big project, but it definitely needs done. So that's 8 fairly big projects that we have for goals this year. That's where our main focus is going to be. But we have several wish list items too. So these here, I'm going to list these off so you guys know these are things we do plan on doing at some point in time. Don't know whether it'll be this year or next year, but this is our wish list items. So one is a root cellar. I really want to dig a root cellar somewhat beside the house because it's kind of a side of a hill, but yet I don't want it to be just a standard root cellar. I actually want it to be somewhat of a hidden root cellar, and I want to build like a picnic shelter on top of it. So when you walk up to it, it just looks like a picnic shelter, but yet there's this hidden root cellar underneath. I really think that would be an awesome project. We also want to develop one of the wells on our property, maybe even both of the wells, and run water lines out to all of the pastures so that we can use that to water the animals instead of buying water through our rural water system, which ends up being some very expensive water bills, especially during the summer. So we would really like to work on one of them wells one of these days and get it working for the livestock. I also would like to finish the inside of the workshop here. I've got one wall over here that still needs to be finished, but the front part of the garage, there's really no walls finished, there's no ceiling, there's really no heat in there, so I'd like to try to complete the inside of this, this workshop garage area and get everything set up and organized. I think it would really help me in the future if everything actually had a home for you to put all the tools and all the stuff that we keep out here. And we'd also like to have a farm, what I'm going to call a farm fueling station. It would be like a diesel tank, it would be a gas tank, and then there would also be some type of a structure so that we could put gas cans and like mixed gasoline inside of it, as well as like the 20-pound propane tanks. I think I've got 3 or 4 extra 20-pound propane tanks, and I really need a home for those. So this would be an area where all of our fuel would be stored. And another thing we would like to build in the future is we do want to build some type of equipment shed so that we can put our tractors, equipment, implements, all of that stuff in out of the weather. It wouldn't be enclosed in like this is. It would probably be like a 3-sided shed, but at least it would give you a place to park equipment out of the rain. So in my mind, I know that we still have several projects to do over the next few years, and we are far from getting this property into exactly the way we want it, into our dream property, but we definitely are getting closer and closer every year. So out of our 8 new goals that we set for ourselves, which one are you guys looking forward to? I really think, this is my guess, I think that most people are looking forward to a firewood shed rebuild. I think a lot of people would really look forward to the bridge across the pond. It's hard saying exactly which one most people are looking forward to. But I think they're all going to be fairly good projects. This is going to be a big year. So wish us luck and hope we can get it all done. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.